Hello everyone, here's an Easter message from the Bishop's office. An Easter card that was recently sent out drew your attention to the road to Emmaus, that famous walk of the Lord in the resurrection with two of his disciples. If you recall that story, those two disciples were deeply dismayed about the events of the crucifixion, and they were talking about it. And Jesus, in his wonderfully pastoral way, invited them to tell him what was going on. And they did. They poured out their souls concerning their sadness and their frustration and their confusion. And isn't it true that we have the same opportunity to turn to the Lord in his resurrection right now with our worries and our sadness and our frustrations? Maybe now more than ever we would do that. But if we are feeling a little overwhelmed by life, maybe we can remember that the road and that walk continued. After listening for a while, Jesus admonished those disciples by saying, "Foolish ones, and slow at heart to believe, ought not the Christ to have suffered and to enter into his glory?" And he went on to explain to them many things from the scriptures that would help them to understand. I wonder if among those was something he had said to them not too long ago. "In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." If you want to look that one up, you can find it in John chapter 16. And the road to Emmaus story is in Luke chapter 24. But that brings me to the final part of the story, and actually what's quoted for you in that Easter card about the story, which is the time of realization of those disciples about who they had been speaking to. When their eyes were opened, it says, they said to each other, "Did not our hearts burn within us as he walked with us and talked with us on the way?" And isn't it true that we have that opportunity in the presence of the Lord when we turn to him to have our hearts touched in a very powerful way? I'd like to share with you a passage from the Heavenly Doctrines that gives us another reason for why we might want to do that, turn to the Lord. It says, this is the situation. Whenever we're caught up in bodily or worldly concerns, we experience a lack of faith and charity or coldness. As long as we're wrapped up in them, we are devoid of or distant from belief and neighborly love or charity, so that we do not even think about heavenly and spiritual matters. When these stop agitating and fall quiet, though, the Lord works through our inner self, and we then come into the faith and charity which are here called heat. Hearts burning within us. For those ancient Israelites, those disciples on the road, that caused them to go forward to find their fellow disciples armed with hope and a way forward. And so for us, if we have that sense of the Lord's providence, we can feel inspired to do something beyond connecting with the Lord that might be of service and use to other people. You know, when the heart is enkindled, the mind often follows. And if the heart is touched by the Lord, then the Lord's often going to be able to enlighten our minds. And if the Lord's light is in our minds with the desire to do something that improves our situation, especially for other people, we can be sure that he will bless our efforts. From my family to yours, happy Easter.